Hello, everybody. Are we back? I wasn't able to flip my phone in time. The heck is that? Back. So, does anybody make it back? Hello, Laura. Hi, Robin. How are you? Let me get my chat box set up on my laptop here so I can see you guys and not have to pay attention to what is going on. What is that? That is not what I wanted. Well, apparently I looked away and hit the wrong button. Now I can't even find my chat box. There it is. Is everybody having a better night than mine? If you missed the first try at this, you'll know that I am now majorly stressed. Okay. Laura and Robin made it back. I wasn't able to fix my orientation. Wait for a few more people to show up if you don't mind. We are having a lot of rain the last couple of days, and it was supposed to be a bunch more rain coming. So the yard's not mowed. Family vacation starts on Friday. Family coming in from Missouri and from North Carolina, and it's supposed to rain Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. All right, we are going to be making moccasins today. These are called, hello Cookie, how are you? These are called pucker toe moccasins. They are worn by, a form of these are worn by the eastern woodland Indian tribes. And we are going to make some today for my little grandson. So mine are going to be, the ones I make are going to be a lot smaller than that. So to start off, you need a piece of paper. Pro tip, piece of paper needs to be big enough for your foot to fit on. And then you trace an outline around, ensuring that the pen stays straight up and down the whole time you're going around. Don't worry about trying to get under the arch. Straight line past the arch, all the way around, pen straight up. You posted for me on, oh, okay. Well, thank you, Robin. I appreciate that. And then you're going to measure around your foot. Use a piece of string or an actual measuring tape if you have one that will go all the way around your foot, and you're going to do it about an inch below where your leg meets your foot. You know, is that understandable? Like this is your leg, this is your foot, about an inch away from where these meet. Hi, Geekery, what you making? And then that line you want to put to the side. So his little foot is that big around. Then you cut that out. Then you take that and you put it on something bigger. I use poster board myself. And then depending on the size of the person that you're doing, there's a formula to go above and to the sides and under. Hi, Jimmy. Don't think I know you. One second here. All right, so then we just trace this onto there. Boom. Then we take our line that we had here and we go across here and we make marks there and there. Then we go a couple inches over for the flap and then we cut it out. And now we have a pattern for our moccasins to go on our leather. I am making, hello, I don't know what to call you, W12, that'll work. We are making pucker-toed moccasins. They kind of look like that. So here's our pattern, and we just transfer that pattern, rolling over my paper, transfer that pattern to 2 pieces of leather, because we're going to have 2 moccasins, because everybody, well, not everybody, most people have 2 feet. So then you're going to wind up with something like this. Now I am using elk hide. Oh, sorry, Zelina. Hi, how you doing? So I use elk hide instead of deer hide because it seems to be a little thicker, a little heavier. Hi, Vicky. And these are the second pair I ever made. The first pair I put in my truck. I'm a truck driver, for those of you that don't know. These are my home ones. That's why they're all stained and everything. And as you can see, they're worn flat, but they are not worn through. I made these in January of 2021. So I think the whole elk hide lasting longer than deer hide is a good idea. But it is expensive. So what we do now is we have to fold it in half, make everything meet up, and then we're going to make some lines. We need to mark the center of the toe, and we need to mark the center of the heel. So now I've got these lines. Yes, sturdy. The ones I have here at the house, I wear a lot more than the ones I wear in my truck. And I wear these things outside, grass, concrete. I go to the store, doesn't really matter. Hi, Carly Stone. I wear them, the ones I have here at the house, I wear everywhere. The ones in my truck, I just usually wear them in the back of the truck when I'm resting and hanging out. All right, so then we're going to take and we're going to make lines about a finger width apart, all the way down. And that one doesn't matter because we definitely want the last hole to be there. Turn that a little bit. The only important thing here is that I have the same amount of marks on both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Uh-oh. All right, so let's figure this out. Make that one a little more closer there. And let's see. We'll just throw in an extra. We just need the same number of holes. All right. And on the bottom here, we need the same thing, except we need to go here, and we're going to make a tall one. I wiped it right off, didn't I? How's Carly Stone doing? This one needs to be a little longer. And then we need one, and this one has to evenly match here. So I use a ruler to do this one. There, and then we'll put one in the middle. We want one here, and we want one even here. And we want one in the middle. Now, the reason that I made these particular moccasins, the reason I make these particular moccasins is they're easy. There's no actual sewing. There's no sinew. There's no needles. These marks, oh, I forgot to mention, you know, once you put the pattern down on your big elk skin, then you cut the elk skin out. Here is why, guys, I started making jewelry in the very first place that I even started trying to make jewelry, is because to cut out these two patterns from the piece of elk hide that I have, I had all this scrap. Look at that. None of it's big enough to make moccasins. It's all scrap. Now, the other kind of moccasins I make was like the other kind of elk hide I use is just plain buckskin. This is called gold, but it's more expensive than this. And half an elk hide is $120. So all of this scrap really annoyed me because that's a lot of money. It is elk hide, Carly Stone. The color is buckskin. So anyway, with all that scrap, my wife said, hey, why don't you try making jewelry? She rused the day she said that. Because then I got into wire wrapping. If you've seen any of my other videos, for you new people, go and take a look. So then, an awl. You just take an awl and, uh-oh, I'm slipping. Take an awl and go on about 1/4 of an inch or so away from the edge, and you poke a hole. And you poke a hole at every one of these lines. I don't know if you guys want to watch the boring part of making both of these. I took the liberty of poking all the holes in this one, and it's ready to make. The only other thing that I do have that you need is lacing. And now the lacing is deerskin. Okay, cool, geekery. I find this to be very, very floppy and very hard to work if you try and make small pieces into jewelry and stuff. And of course, I got into wire wrapping, and now my scrap leather just lays around. I don't use it for anything. Okay, so this one already has the holes all cut in it. So the two short ones are for the heels. That's for the other moccasin. This is cut at a very steep angle. Now I have to get it wet. Got my handy dandy water bottle. And then we're gonna twist, twist, twist. I should have done the other one like this before so that it would dry, because we have to give it a couple of seconds. Let it dry. We want to get it into a nice point, but then you have to let it dry out a little bit. So since I didn't do that, then we'll go back to poking holes. move the water bottle so I don't spill it. I already poked that hole. Do not get your finger in the way of this thing. It is sharp. Well, that's good. I'll send you some in a package, Zelina, because I am just not, it doesn't motivate me to work with leather except to make these moccasins. And the reason I started making these moccasins is because I wear a size 15 shoe and I needed soft-soled moccasins. And the few places that sell soft-soled moccasins in size 15 wanted a couple of $100 for them. And I'm like, I can figure out how to make them my own. And then I went and bought elk hide that cost $200 anyway. So, but that elk hide makes a lot of moccasins. I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 9 grandchildren. This is the 9th one that I've made moccasins for. So Christmas presents were saved. So I guess I kind of got my money back since I made moccasins instead of bought them Christmas presents. I normally put this against my chest. And then it boogies along quite fine. But that's not going to show up very good on the video. So now I'm fighting this, and I can't take this off because my ring light glares on my tabletop. Hi, Annette. Welcome. Am I missing anybody? Have I said hi to everybody so far? I didn't do these yet, right? Yeah, I went to the left or to the right. Yeah, I had to go shopping today. My son needed to paint his dining room, or his living room rather. So we took all 3 of the grandkids shopping with us today. Boy, howdy, did I forget what it was like having 3 toddlers running around while you were trying to shop. Oops, was a little too close to the edge. Now, sometimes these holes try to close back up on you, so you got to keep your awl handy. While that one's finishing drying, yeah, I'll go ahead and get this one wet. Yeah, I know. I forgot to flip it when I went to do the second one because I was in a hurry. My apologies. I did, I started playing in landscape because I finally figured out how to make it go into landscape. And then I was in a hurry and forgot to push that button when I started this one. So my apologies. For a while there, I couldn't figure out how to make it go. And then, of course, the fiasco happened. Let's get these all wet so that they're ready to go. So I've had a pretty hectic day. But we had another one of our cards in the last couple weeks. I've been on for 20 minutes this time. You missed the first one. I had a fraud alert on my credit card that happened 2 minutes after I started the show. Required a phone call to the credit card company, and a lot of discussion got turned over. Why would I want to add a Q&A sticker? YouTube, you idiots. Wanted me to add, hey, Ms. Deb, how are you? Well, it's okay now. The problem is that I'm in here in my craft room, and it popped up saying that somebody was spending $231 at Walmart. And I went, no, we're not at Walmart today. We didn't go to Walmart today. So I said no. So then it came up with a phone number I needed to call. So I went in there to tell my wife we needed to call this phone number because I needed to use her phone because I was live on here on my phone. And she's like, but I was just buying the mixer you told me I could buy. Oops. So now it's all messed up. And I'm going to get the credit card canceled. And then my wife's going to get her mixer. But then they're like, oh, just for verification, we're going to need your name and address and phone number. And I'm like, yeah, I can't do that while I'm on live on YouTube. So, and then it was Annette. Annette came up with the idea of maybe I should start a new one so that whole conversation is not on there. And I thought that was a good idea. Several other people did too. So that's what we did. All right, so now we're going to do the lacing and make us a number. All right, so we're going to go through the center hole first. Yep, and then we did end up finding a $20 fraud charge on there that wasn't ours. So now they're canceling the card, and we got to wait for them to send us a new one. And all right, so then we just poke these through the holes, start at the middle, and then go. It's not stiff enough, or the hole's closed up, one or the other. It's a cool thing that the holes close up, because if the hole gets too big, then it just closes up after you've done sewing through it. All right. There we go. There we don't go. You know why? Because this is the inside of the moccasin. This is the outside. We want to go this way. You can make it to where the suede side is out if you want, but since I did all the markings on the inside, we probably don't want to do that. And I'm thinking that the suede would get wore out way faster than this side would. That's not right either. Why? What am I doing here? I am doing it right the first time. I haven't made a pair of these in a couple of years, so I got to kind of relearn how to start this thing. This is for my grandson that is Ms. Deb, that is getting ready to turn, well, he's already turned 3, but his birthday party is next Sunday. So these are for him. He's the only one that hasn't had a pair of them yet. So yeah, they're going to be teeny tiny. Well, not teeny tiny because he's a brute. All right. This is going to get annoying. See, it already puckered up the toe. Outside in. And then we just go outside in and we run this lacing all the way through and until we've used up all the holes. No, these are not size 15. No, no, no. This is the pattern for my foot. This is the pattern for his. So yeah, no, not 15. You just crisscross along the way. I'm going to have to poke every one of these holes because I poked them. It does feel like you're almost barefoot in them. My older grandsons, they were 10, between 9 and 11 or so when I gave them theirs for Christmas. And one of them told my wife that it was like they were not wearing shoes, but they were. That was his way of describing what it felt like to wear them. So yes, you are not going to have any problems at all. Unlike me, this has just been a day. I have never had one of these things break on me. How crazy is that? Wow. I mean, I'm talking, I yank on them after I've got it all sewn up. I'm pulling on it, and I've never had one break. But, oh well. Like I said, crazy day. This is deerskin. Yes, I bought a half an elk hide, Miss Deb, and start with that. It's all about 6 feet tall and about 3.5 feet wide. Cost $200, or I'm sorry, yeah, 120. Cost 120 for a half of one. All right, get this one wet and start it drying while we use the one that already dried. Now, I have very little of this gold left, so I didn't want to buy a whole spool of lacing for the gold, so the lacing isn't going to match, but oh well. He's 3. I don't think he'll care. And by the time he's 3.5, he'll probably have outgrown them. All right. Take 14. And outside to in. View in. We're already puckering up. I just thread the leather. That was my whole point of learning how to make these moccasins, was I didn't have to use a needle, didn't have to mess with sinew. I'm just sliding it through. I cut the end at a sharp angle. I wet it down, let it dry so that it's got this. Man, my hands, I probably should have washed them before I started this. But when you wet it, it gets it to be a pretty tight point. Slides through the holes, if the holes are big enough. And if they're not, we make them bigger. That is, yeah. and it just pulls up to where you've got this nice seam across the top. And I'll show you when we get a little farther what it looks like on the inside. You got a couple of confessions there. You color your hair and you wear glasses. Get off of there. So as you can see in here, the seam is just the two pieces coming together, so you don't feel any of this crinkly stuff that you can see on the outside. You don't even feel it at all on the inside. See, once you get it going, it's not that bad. Yeah, I hunted the internet looking for moccasins that I didn't have to actually sew because I didn't want to be fighting a needle through leather. I know that's going to be new. That was going to be a pain in the butt. Is that a hole? Yep. I've had several people ask, what other kind of moccasins do you make? I don't make any other kind of moccasin. And for this area, that's not a bad thing anyway, since I'm in Illinois, because the Chippewa, the Choctaw, or not Choctaw, Chickasaw, that's it. Chickasaw, the Cree. Some say, according to the internet, that the Ojibwa tribes, the word Ojibwa means pucker-toed people. So I thought that was interesting. But the Cherokee wore them. So there's several tribes that wore a pucker-toed type of moccasin. Theirs looks a little different because they do use sinew. They're pointy. Their toes aren't as pointy. But I'm wondering if this is like a kind of moccasin that you would make out in the field when you were away from. No, not for these. I don't know if the Illini tribe itself, I'm sure there's still some around. I have no idea. I am from Indiana, so I'm not from Illinois, so the history of Illinois is not in my repartee. But no. Well, no, not for these moccasins, Vicky. I don't, because I just make the hole bigger. Well, I'm in central Illinois now. I lived in Kentucky when I was a kid. For about half my childhood, I lived down in Letcher County, down right next to Harlan County. Give you an idea of what that means. Any of you that have seen the movie Next of Kin, when they went down to film the part where he went home to Kentucky, that was Harlan County. I'm not allergic to needles. I'm allergic to needles trying to fight through leather. I know how to sew on buttons. I know how to sew up seams. I know how to sew with my hands. I don't know how to use a sewing machine, but I know how to sew with my hands. I do not know how to darn a sock. My socks get a hole in them. They just get thrown away. All right. We're coming to the end on this one. Yep. I know the name Tecumseh well. I learned to make these by watching a video on YouTube. Well, I watched several videos, but this one looked like the easiest one for me to make at home. In December and January, well, in December was when I found the video, I think, because then I had to order the leather and wait for it to show up before I actually made them. The first pair I made was in January of 2001. There we go, pucker toed in the front. And we just tie a little knot here. We don't want to tie it too tight because here's another pro tip for you all out there. Don't tie the knot too tight and leave some room, because see how tight these are? If you put them on your feet and they're too tight, you can untie this knot, hold here and pull here, and this will all loosen up and it'll make the toes longer. If it's too loose, you pull it tighter. Just grab a hold of it and pull, and it gets smaller. See that? But I yanked my knot tighter. Well, thank you, Robin. There we go. I loosened it back up again. So when he tries them on, if they're too tight, if you end up buying a pair of these from me and you get them and they are too tight, but they are not uncomfortably tight, you need to leave them alone and let them conform to your foot. They'll stretch out a little bit and conform to your foot. You don't want to tighten them or loosen them unless they are painfully tight. There we go. I don't think I'm going to leave quite that much. On an adult shoe, that's okay. On a kid's shoe, not. There we go. And the front part is done for his little shoe. Now, why is the toe puckered up like that? Well, because when you step on the ground, look at that. There's no water coming in through the seams or anything. Now it'll soak through if you wear it too long outside, but if you step in a puddle and shake your foot off real quick, it doesn't dump in on your feet. Oh, there's leather needles out there, but when you're making moccasins and you're using a needle, you're using sinew, or, well, it's usually artificial sinew now, but it's not much bigger than it's not much bigger than a regular piece of thread. It's made from the tendons of the animal. Let's see. I need to find the back. Got that. Oh, on the heel. On the heel, we got to do it a little different. We have to start at this long line. That's why we made 2 long lines. That's a longer piece, so a shorter piece here. That's my center line, so we're going to start here, because we need to do the same thing in the back. We need to get it pulled up so that the seam is not on the ground. The Apache are famous for wearing moccasins, and they're a desert tribe. Which way am I going here? 2 from the center, 1 hole from the center. Okay, so we're starting here, and we're going here. Reading my quick written notes that I've had since I started making these. We're just going to roll right on over here. Slide it in there, and now we're going to be at the center. There we go. That whip stitch going. See how it's see how it's puckering up this, so it's pulling the seam up off the ground. It's just from the way that's the center line. So that's the last one that goes like that. And now we have, if I can get it squished up here tight. Now we have a heel that is up off the ground, because the back of the moccasin is going to be like right there. So see, now this seam is up off the ground. And now it's time to sew the back together. And we're going to left and right, back and forth again, so we get the same kind of seam that we've got on the front. And it's the same thing with the back here. If they start slipping off of the heel, you want to pull it and make it tighter. If it's too tight on the heel, you can loosen it up a little bit. Am I getting off camera? I am getting fairly decent at staying in the camera, aren't I? Yeah, I'm sure that I would love. Wait a second. How did that happen? Oh, I know why, because I'm not paying attention. Because that hole is a good hole in this one. I got my lines messed up, so I had to scribble some out, so now I have to pay attention to what I was doing to make sure I get the right ones, because see, I've got one hole more than on this side than on that side, and that's not good. But that's all right. We'll figure out a way to make it work. We're just going to go ahead and, yeah, let's do that. We'll skip that hole. Now I'm talking to myself. I don't know. I've never wound up like this. Well, hi, Kim. I didn't see you on there. Of course, I'm not watching my chat either, am I? Kind of busy poking holes. Now these fold down. Get it straightened out a little bit. Tie me a knot. Trim it down, but make sure it don't drag the ground. Put some fingers in there to make it more look like a shoe. Except they're so small, I can't get my big fingers in there. And there we go. A little pair of moccasins. Look at that. Fit in my hand. That's one down. We poked holes in that. Yeah, I've got my kids and grandbabies coming starting Friday. North Carolina. They're coming from North Carolina and Kansas City. Where are yours coming from? Eastern Plains moccasins is the other name for these. Eastern Woodland. I'm sorry, Eastern Plains. Eastern Woodland moccasins is the other name for it. What are we saying yes to? Loom knitting, I'm assuming, is the last comment I saw. Carly Stone has this. Yes, Eastern woodland moccasins. Because mostly the Great Lakes and the eastern woods, you start getting out into the plains and it's a different thing. They use different forms out there. All right, we're going to go ahead and make the next one, I guess. We're all still here. We all still having fun, or are we done? Yep, Eastern woodland moccasins. I'll say it one more time. Do, 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 do. But if you look up pucker toe on Google, it shows up with a bunch of them. And how did I miss poking holes in that side? I got all the holes poked except for these. Well, you know. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and finish them up and be done. Because I'm going to have to finish them up whether you're watching or not. Because, yeah. Annette, thank you very much for reminding me that was supposed to do a live, because time caught me unprepared. Because, yeah, next Sunday is the birthday party. And you're asking me when I'm doing my live, and I'm like, oh crap, I should have done that 2 weeks ago. We saw the sun for about 20 minutes today. I don't like where that one's at, and I don't like how far away that one is. We're going to put this one right there instead. Let's make this a little more even too. All right, now we got holes made. You're welcome, Geekery. Thanks. I'll see you next time at Matt's. All right. This one ain't as pointy as it needs to be. Or I should say it's not as stiff. It's pointy enough. It's just not stiff enough. So we'll let that dry for a second while I get a drink. Has it gotten hot out in California yet? Yesterday we were at like 88 degrees or something, but it was like 95% humidity. The sun was shining. It was just awful. But I know I know out in Arizona, they've already been in the hundreds this year. Thank you, Carly Stone. Oh, this is getting annoying. Get in there. But yeah, from the time, if I sit down and just do this, from the time that I have the pattern to the time that I have both moccasins done is usually an hour and a half. So they don't take a whole lot of time to do either. And like I said, that pair I showed you that I wear, I've been wearing for 5.5 years. So for the amount of time that it takes me to make mine, it's a good return in investment. The kids, on the other hand, if you've had kids, you know as well as I do that they wear a size 4 1 minute and a size 7 2 days later, and you didn't even notice that it happened. Oh, tangled. I have been practicing my singing. I have been practicing my banjo, not as much as I'd like, but I'm going to go down and see my dad the last weekend of June, and he wants me to play some music for him, so I'll get some more practice in then. So my next live, I think I'm going to attempt to serenade you all with my banjo and me. Yeah, I finished the other one on camera. Weren't you looking? It's right there. I thought I held it up and showed everybody. I did, didn't I? Ooh, got a bad tangle here. Let's pull that out of there. I just tied it in a regular little knot so that it can be untied. That's all that's tied off on. Just a regular, I don't know what it's called. Just take the string, go like this, and you got a knot. Because it needs to be easy to take off in case you need to adjust the tightness of it. Ooh, got close to the edge for that one. Oops, I'm getting off camera, sorry. I'll show you again in a minute how I tie them off. Because if these things would go through the holes, I'll be done with this one in a few minutes. That one's done correctly. Overhand knot. Hate to see what those underhanded people do. Yep, one day, hopefully, Carly Stone will have a pair. Children's sizes like this, I charge $35 for, mostly because of the cost of the leather. Regular adult sizes is $65. people who have oversized 15 feet or oversized 13 feet, I think I charge another $5. Again, because of the cost of the hide per square foot. Yes, it is. But since that is, as you can see here, that's like half. About half the hide is the softy part. So I'm thinking it'll wear out a lot faster if you use that side. Plus, I mean, this side's soft, but this side's really soft, and you kind of want that against your foot. But yes, you can put the suede side out. Moccasin candles? Do you mean sandals? I don't know what a moccasin candle would be. It would be a hot foot. As I say, I'm watching these holes. I'm just catching bits and pieces of the chat. If I miss anything, just repeat it. Okay, that makes more sense. That's this side now. I was going to say, I think this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It had 8 holes on each side. Mine have like 12. Now, I don't know if you guys were watching all that close, but I used my index finger to do the hole in between here. When you do an adult size, you use your thumb. So there's more leather, but there's more holes and they're wider apart. But I didn't want to use my thumb because then I'd have like 6 holes and it wouldn't have this pretty seam going along it. You know, I've been having that problem lately, Zelina. I will post something or text something, and after I hit send, the box still has the exact same message in it. If I accidentally hit send again, it'll send the same message twice. Get in there. We're almost done. Don't wax out on me now. All right, last hole. Last call for alcohol. There we go. We're all tied up. See? Carly Stone, I just wrap it around, pop it up, and there we go. A knot that's not too tight, but won't let it come too loose. And then I don't want it to get down on the ground, so I'm going to want to cut it off there, leaving enough room so that if it is too tight, it can be stretched out. And that's the front done on this pair. Now to the back. Do, 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 do. Ow. I don't know if you heard that, but that was my elbow popping. Okay, so we want to start over here. My fingers are getting in front of my face. So has anybody got anything interesting going on? Oops, bouncy, sorry. That we don't know about? It's not a whole lot of... I put it on, when I burn a design on it, I put it on the flap. Like on my example. That's my version of a bear. Do not ask, please do not ask for these. fringies. They're really pretty and they're cute, but boy, howdy, are they difficult to make and look nice. If you, I can burn an animal onto it in about 10 minutes. It takes me another half an hour to do fringe. And it's just annoying. It is difficult to make it look right. You made some jewelry in it? Cool. I'm going to be making some jewelry when I'm down visiting my dad. That's the middle already. Okay, so then we need to do... Oh, I already forgot. And the next two. Okay, keep going. I thought so. Because in order to do the fringe and do it right, I don't know what to make fringe until I make the moccasin, right? So now I have this flap here. Well, now I have to lay this flap here down and get it stuck down. That's in, I have to mark where I want the fringe to go so that it all matches up nicely. And somehow I have to make it, I use double-sided tape, but it still sometimes slips. And then you have to take an X-Acto knife and slice each and every one of these. It's just, and if you do it, don't do it right, you get wide ones and then skinny ones. And so it's just, it's hard to do and it's annoying and that's the only moccasin I've ever done it on. I'm like, I'll do a sample. And I'm like, holy crap, I don't ever want to do that again. One more. So it's just, you're fighting around the shoe. They have a better idea of actually doing fringe when they do it like on jackets and stuff, because they'll take a piece of leather and just lay it out and they'll make the fringe. And then when they sew the seams of the jacket together, they stick the seam of the fringe in between so that there's 3 pieces of leather there, and then lets the fringe hang down. So it's a lot easier to do it when it's just a flat piece of leather. But on the shoe is in the way. See, I'd have to lay it down like that and get it glued down, and then I have to mark a line, but I can't put a mark there because there's no way to erase it. So as you can see, it can be monotonous and it's hard. I found it very hard to do. So I don't want to have to do it again. And I charge like $10 extra for that anyway. So let's see, we got 3. All right. Now, if I'm doing this correctly, I just did this one. So I need to go over here. All right. So we got 6 more holes to do, and we are done with both pair. Now, like I said, this has taken an hour, but I'm talking, I'm reading the chat. I'm remembering how I did it before so that I'm doing it right. And my lacing broke. I had to start that over. So this one's taking a little longer. Plus, it's small. It's sometimes making things for kids is even more difficult than making it for adults because of the size of the material you're working with. I mean, this is what? 6-8 inches long? Maybe 9? Let's find out. I got a ruler right here. This bad boy is a whole whopping 7 inches long. Meanwhile, my boat shoes are 13, a little over 13 inches long. So you can imagine that it's a little easier to work with when you got... Well, I mean, if we're going to chat, I mean, half of the fun I have is in the chat. So I try and read it, but like I said, with this one, it's a monotonous type of thing, and you got to make sure you hit all the holes. So sometimes I miss stuff. I have it. I'm actually reading more on the phone. I'm actually reading more on the phone this time than I normally do. Normally, when I'm doing jewelry, I've got it blown up on my, got the chat box blown up on my laptop here over to my left. But while I'm doing this, it's just easier to look right at the phone, and I'm hoping I'm catching them all. But yeah, I don't understand the people that have a chat on their live stream, but they almost never look at it. I appreciate that Matt tries, but he's focused on so much other stuff. So Mayor comes along and tries to do that part of the job. Ouch. See, you don't want to stab yourself because this thing hurts. Stab my pink finger. And I still didn't want to go in there, even after I stabbed myself for it. Get in there. Hey, come on. All right. And last hole. Just needs to go through there. See, it's going to slide right through that one. The next to the last hole just had to be a pain. All right, now we're finishing up. You say I'm great. I don't know about great. All right, so then we just do another knot back here, just like we did in the front. Trim it off so it don't drag the ground. Make that a little tighter. Boom. And yeah, even doing the live show and all of the other stuff that was going on, of course I had one ready to go before I started, but there we go. My grandson's little. Yeah, that one needs to be a little tighter to match the other one. So yeah, see if you need one, if it loosens up on you and you need it to be tighter, you just take this knot apart. This is why you don't cinch it down as hard as you can. Just take this apart. Grab your string, put your fingers right here and just pull. It's being a pain. Of course, they're just newly made. Watch me break it off again. There it goes. See, I just made it a little tighter. Now they're a lot closer to the same size. I don't know if you could see it get lined up there. Well, the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to see if you can hear the banjo over my headset above my singing. We're going to have to play around with technical. I might not be able to use my headset while I'm singing. Reason I started using my headset is my son said my first few tutorials, my voice was really low because I don't talk that loud because I'm in a room by myself, so it sounds like I'm shouting. So the headset works good for that. Yeah, but do you know how far away the Bristol Fair is? It's a good 2.5 hours. Well, yeah, because it's close to 3 hours. Because I have to go through Chicago to get to it. I know right where it's at. I used to drive past it all the time because I had a place up there that I picked up and delivered to. So I know right where it's at. I have had people, well, the people at the Ren Fair that I went to didn't really say a whole lot about it. But I've had people who do that type of thing. people that do the what's it called? Uh, the LOTR. Is that it? I don't know. The people that dress up and do that kind of stuff have mentioned that him taking my card, going, "Ooh, those would work for what I do." And there we are, moccasins made. And yeah, so that wasn't too bad. Like I said, I did my prep work. So I remember me telling you that my let's see, how would this go from up here? Ooh. Elf flank, yes. My grandson thinks so as well. Okay, so remember that I had, this needs to go in here, that I had duffel bags that I hauled my stuff in. So that I'd take it to my truck so that I could make stuff while I was parked somewhere for a long period of time. I haven't been able to do that with this company that I'm with now because they don't make you sit. What little bit of time I do sit, I sleep. So they don't have me sitting around for a day. Now in the wintertime, I might start carrying my stuff again, but I used to carry it with me every week. But anyway, those duffel bags are 5 years old. SCA, yeah, but that's the particular thing I'm looking at. I was looking for the one that started with an L. That covers everything, Ren fairs, reenactments, all of that. It's the fact that they dress up. I don't remember exactly what the letters are. But anyway, my duffel bags are 5 years old, so they've gotten themselves beaten to death. And we were at Goodwill the other day, and I'm going to pull you out of here so we can look at this thing, because we're not going to be able to do it with this light in the way, because this sucker is huge. Sorry, getting the light out of the way, because my wife saw this thing. Look how huge that is. It is a little in my duffel bag, but that's because I got almost everything from 2 duffel bags into this thing. Now look, it's got things on the sides, and they're not even full. Bead trays and such. One on each side. The top. The whole top comes up. Look at all that space. Got to make sure that latches, because last night it did not latch. And when I stood it up, I had beads running away. See, it's not latched. And look at that. Can't see a whole lot, but look. Here we go. All of my tools, all of my wire, earring things, different tools, which is where this goes. And my all goes in there. All of that is in this one big freaking tote. Like I said, it's pretty heavy. The only thing it doesn't have room for. Oops. I know I'm getting you guys seasick. Larging. That's it. I know I'm tossing you guys around looking at this, but it is just awesome. Are you latched? You are latched. Everything's latched down. Okay. I only want to do the, but yeah, I mean, here's a folder or a binder. Just look at how huge this thing is. But it doesn't have any room for me to put sets that I'm going to be working on for jewelry. And there's not any room in there for my other tools like my ring mandrels and such. And I had this big old toolbox laying around. Now we're above the light, so now I've got my ring mandrel stuff in there. And those little boxes hold all of my the next sets of mats. Stones. So now instead of 2 duffel bags, I have this toolbox and this monster organizer. And look at that. It's upside down, but look, $8.99. This thing had to have cost $30 in the store when it was first bought. I'm going to hook you back up now because I don't want to hold the phone anymore. But I just thought, so last night I was organizing that. Here we go. Oh yeah, but I can lift it, so far I'm okay on that count. A little moccasin. But yeah, see, I had this binder out here. It's got the songs that I picked out to play. It's upside down. Is there a trivia prize? No. Yeah, this has got my songs that I've chosen to pick out to play. So I'm practicing those. So it will probably be after the 4th of July before I do a live with music, just because of the schedule that I'm living. Because I've got, like I said, my daughter flies in Friday, this coming Friday. My son comes in, she's flying in from North Carolina with 3 of my grandsons. My youngest son and his girlfriend are coming up from Kansas City. They're coming up on Saturday. And then we've got a whole week of just family stuff. And then 2 weeks later, I'm taking vacation and going down to see my dad. And my social security number engraved on what? I'm lost on that comment there, Zelina. Not sure what you mean. I'm not putting my social security number on there. Social security number was never designed, was never supposed to be used for identification, but it is all the time because our government lies. See, now we went into a whole different live show, didn't we? I was to say, and to add all that, my oldest son, he's the one that lives right here in town. He lives a couple of blocks away. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But anyway, he's decided he wants to get into playing Dungeons and Dragons, which I used to play 30 years ago. So we've got all that going on as well. So then I'm going to stay down to see my dad Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Come home on Wednesday. I may stay in Indiana and see my mom Wednesday night and be home on Thursday. And then Saturday is the 4th of July. And that day, I've got what's supposed to be a really big show. The woman that told me that I should go to it, I think, and she sells crystals, very little jewelry, just bigger, she just sells crystals. She has some jewelry, but she's a crystal seller. Some of the big ones, some of the small ones. She's got a lot of stuff. But she said that she made, I don't remember. I think that one was one where she said she made, oh, I'm not putting my social security number on my jewelry carriers. That's asking for identity theft. But she said that she made a killing last year at the 4th of July. So she said I should do it this year. So it's supposed to be a big show. So hopefully I make a lot of money at that one. I've got one on the 4th of July. I have 2 in August. I have 2 in September. And I just mailed in one for October. And I will have either one in November or a second one in October. Depends on when the retirement well, yeah, fly on out here, Carly Stone. You can fly in from California. My daughter fly in from North Carolina. We can all meet in the middle. And Carly Stone, you do have a family. You're right in the middle of it right now. And yes, I will adopt you into my family and make it semi-official. You wouldn't be the first that I've adopted into my family. I have a daughter that I haven't seen in, yeah, I saw her last summer. I haven't seen her since last summer. But yeah, we kind of adopted her when she was 4. Raised her until she was old enough to stay by herself when she went to school. My wife babysat. But yeah, I've had a lot of people staying in my house over the years that weren't related to me at all. Teenagers and such, when I was working with the teenagers at church when my kids were little. One poor little guy, he never knew if his dad was going to be home or not, and he lived with his dad. So sometimes it'd be 8:30 at night when we got a little knock on the door. Oh, that was a lot noisier than I thought it would be. It'd be my sister. Okay, bye, Zelina. I hope you feel better. I really do. I know it's really getting you down, being in constant pain all the time. I hope it gets better. I don't know about a sister, Carly Stone. I've only got one sister, and I was 14 when she was born. We don't really get along all that well. But I mean, she was 4 when I left for the Marine Corps, so we don't know each other that well either. All right, everybody. We're done with our moccasins. Birthday present is ready to go. We'll see if he likes them or not. He doesn't like shoes at all. Even when it's cold outside, if you aren't paying attention, he'll take his shoes off. So we'll see if he likes these instead of regular shoes. Maybe his feet will feel better in these. You're welcome, Carly Stone. Thanks for somebody. I don't know if I think it was you that actually made the suggestion or asked the question of whether I had one alive making moccasins. So thanks to you, I had a live and something different to do. All right, everybody. Good night. Have a good day. Have a good week. Probably see you tomorrow night. Maybe not. My windshield broke, so they're fixing my truck, so I may be driving late. Okay, it might have been Annette. If it was Annette, whoever it was, thank you. So we will talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.